A day in the city. Chapter 1, Morning. Tom is a student. He lives in a small apartment near the park. Every morning, he wakes up early and goes downstairs to the kitchen. Good morning, his mother says. She is busy. She is cooking breakfast, eggs, bread, and butter. Tom drinks his coffee and eats quickly. Today is an important day, Tom thinks. He has a big project at school. He feels a little nervous, but also excited. His dad is reading a newspaper at the table. Don't be late, he says. I know, Dad. Don't worry, Tom answers. Tom washes his face, puts on his jacket and jeans, and takes his bag. He leaves the apartment and walks to the station. Chapter 2, At School. Tom arrives at school at 8 o'clock. His friend Lisa is already there. She is standing near the door. Hey, how are you? Lisa asks. I'm fine, thanks. A little tired, but okay, Tom says. Me too. Did you finish the project? She asks. Yes, I worked hard last night. I think it is pretty good, Tom says. Their teacher, Mr. Brown, is a friendly man. He is tall and has short brown hair. He always arrives first in the classroom. Good morning, students, he says. Today we are going to discuss your projects. Who wants to go first? Tom looks at Lisa. Lisa looks at Tom. I'll go first, Tom says. He stands up and walks to the front. He explains his project. He talks about the city, its buildings, streets, parks, and people. He uses a lot of pictures. The class listens carefully. Wonderful, Mr. Brown says. Well done, Tom. Really interesting. Tom feels happy. He goes back to his seat and sits down. Chapter 3, Lunch. After school, Tom and Lisa go to a small cafe near the library. It is a nice, warm place. They sit opposite each other. What do you want to eat? Lisa asks. Maybe a sandwich and some juice, Tom says. What about you? I'll have soup and tea, Lisa says. The waiter comes to their table. He is a young man with a friendly face. Hello, what can I get you? He asks. They order their food. While they wait, they talk about their plans. I want to visit the museum this weekend, Lisa says. Do you want to come? Yes, I love museums. Let's go together, Tom says. He smiles. The food arrives. It is delicious. Outside the cafe, the city is busy and full of life. Cars move fast on the street. A dog runs across the park. Children play near the fountain. I really like this city, Lisa says. Me too, Tom says. It never stops. Chapter 4, Evening. Tom returns home in the evening. His sister Anna is in the living room. She is watching TV. Hey, how was school? Anna asks. Good, I did well in my project, Tom says. Amazing, Mum is in the kitchen. Dinner is almost ready, Anna says. The family eats together. Dad talks about his work. Mum asks about the project. Anna tells a funny story about her friend at college. After dinner, Tom goes to his bedroom. He sits on his bed and opens his laptop. He sends an email to Lisa. Great day today. See you at the museum on Saturday. Don't be late. Grinning face with smiling eyes. Soon, a message comes back. Okay, I will never be late. Well, maybe sometimes. Grinning face with sweat goodnight. Tom laughs. He turns off the light and goes to sleep. Tomorrow is a new day. Chapter 5, The Museum. Saturday comes quickly. Tom wakes up at 9 o'clock. The weather is cold but beautiful. He looks outside, the sky is gray, and the trees in the park move in the wind. He gets up, washes his face, and goes downstairs. His mum is in the kitchen. Good morning, do you want breakfast? She asks. Yes, please, just some bread and butter, Tom says. He eats quickly and checks his phone. There is a message from Lisa. Hey, I am already on the bus. See you soon. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Tom smiles. He puts on his coat, takes his bag, and leaves home. At the station. Tom walks fast to the station. It is near his apartment. Many people are waiting for the train. He stands and waits. Then he sees Lisa. She is wearing a green jacket and carrying a small brown bag. Hey, you are here, Tom says. Of course, I am never late, Lisa laughs. Maybe sometimes, Tom says. Okay, only sometimes, she says. They get on the train together and sit down. Outside the window, the city moves past buildings, streets, cars, people. I really love this city, Lisa says. She looks out the window. Me too, it is always different, Tom answers. Inside the museum. The museum is a big, old building in the east of the city. It is between the library and the park. There are tall white walls and long windows. Wow, it is amazing, Lisa says. I know, I love it here, Tom says. They go in. Inside, it is warm and quiet. There are pictures on the walls, beautiful, old, famous paintings. There are also interesting objects from the past. Look at this, Lisa says. She points at a large, dark painting of a city. It looks like our city, but it is very old. It is our city, Tom says. He reads the information next to the picture. It is from 200 years ago. Wow, so much has changed, Lisa says. But some things are the same, Tom says. The park is still there, the river is still there. Lisa smiles. I like that. A surprise. They walk around the museum for a long time. They look at old maps, animals, plants, and beautiful art. Then in one room, Tom stops. Oh, he says. In front of him, there is a small painting. It shows a young man and a young woman. They are sitting in a cafe. On the table, there is coffee, bread, and a book. Outside the window in the painting, there is a park. It looks like us, Lisa says, in our cafe. Tom laughs. Maybe we're famous and we don't know it yet. Lisa takes a photo with her phone. Now we are in the museum too, she says. After the museum. They leave the museum in the afternoon. They are hungry and a little tired. Let's find a restaurant, Tom says. I want something hot and delicious. Good idea. There is a nice place across the street, Lisa says. They walk across and go in. The restaurant is small and warm. The menu has soup, rice, meat, salad, and more. I will have the soup and rice, Tom says. Same for me, Lisa says. The food comes quickly. It is fantastic. After dinner, they walk back to the station together. The city is busy now, lights are on, people are outside, music comes from a cafe nearby. Today was really great, Lisa says. Yes, one of the best days, Tom says. They say goodbye at the station. See you next week, Lisa says. Yes, and next time you choose the plan, Tom says. Lisa laughs. Okay, good night, Tom. Good night, Lisa. Tom walks home. The night is cold and quiet. He feels happy and warm inside. Some days are just perfect. Chapter 6, A New Plan. Monday morning arrives too quickly. Tom is sitting at his desk in the classroom, still thinking about the museum. Mr. Brown is explaining something on the board, but Tom's mind is somewhere else. That painting, the cafe, the park. Tom, Mr. Brown's voice brings him back. Can you answer the question? Tom looks up quickly. Sorry, can you repeat it, please? A few students laugh. Tom feels his face go red. I asked, what is the most important skill for a young person today? Mr. Brown says, crossing his arms. Tom thinks for a second. Maybe, the ability to keep learning, he answers. Mr. Brown smiles. Interesting answer, well done. After class. After the lesson, Lisa finds Tom in the corridor. You looked completely lost in there, she says, laughing. I was still thinking about Saturday, Tom admits. That painting in the museum, I can't stop thinking about it. Lisa looks at him carefully. Why? I don't know exactly. It felt personal somehow, like it was telling us something. Lisa is quiet for a moment. Actually, she says slowly, I did some research online last night. The artist who painted it, nobody knows his real name. He only signed it with a letter. The letter T. Tom stops walking. T. T, Lisa repeats. They look at each other. That is probably just a coincidence, Tom says, but he doesn't sound sure. At home. That evening, Tom goes straight to his bedroom after dinner. He opens his laptop and starts searching for information about the painting. He finds a long article on a museum website. He reads it carefully. The painting, known only as the Café, was found in an old building in the east of the city in 1987. The artist is unknown. Art experts believe it was painted between 1820 and 1850. The two figures in the painting have never been identified. Tom leans back in his chair. Two figures, never identified. He looks at the photo Lisa sent him, the one she took at the museum. The two people in the painting are sitting opposite each other, just like he and Lisa always do in their cafe. He sends Lisa a message. I found an article. The artist signed it T. The painting is from the 1800s, and the two people in it, nobody knows who they are. Interesting, right? Her reply comes back fast. Okay, now I'm a little scared. Grinning face with sweat, meet me tomorrow before school. We need to talk. Chapter 7, The Old Building. The next morning, Tom and Lisa meet outside the school gate early. It is still dark and the air is cold. Their breath turns white in front of them. So, Lisa says, pulling her coat closer, I spoke to my grandmother last night. About the painting. About the building where it was found. She knows the street. She says the building is still there, just east of the old market. Nobody lives there now, but it hasn't been pulled down yet. Tom feels a mix of excitement and worry. Are you saying we should go there? I'm saying it might be interesting, Lisa says, smiling. That's the same thing, Tom says. Lisa laughs. Maybe, are you afraid? No, Tom says, perhaps a little too quickly. The building. After school, they take the bus east. They get off near the old market and walk down a narrow street. The buildings here are old and dark, very different from the modern center of the city. Then they see it. It is a tall, gray building at the end of the street. The windows are broken. The door is half open. Above the door, carved into the stone, there are two letters. T.A. They stand still for a long moment. T.A., Lisa says quietly. Tom, what is your full name? Tom feels something cold move through him, and it is not the wind. Thomas Allen, he says. Neither of them speaks. Above them, a bird flies quickly across the gray sky and disappears behind the building. Door Chapter 8, Inside. Tom pushes the door open slowly. It makes a long, heavy sound. Are you sure about this? He asks. No, Lisa says honestly, but let's go in anyway. The inside of the building is dark and cold. The floor is covered with dust and old leaves that came in through the broken windows. The walls are gray and damp. Some of the paint is falling off in large pieces. It smells old, Lisa says, looking around. Everything old smells old, Tom says. Thank you, Tom, very helpful. They move carefully across the floor, stepping over broken pieces of wood and glass. There is enough light coming through the windows to see, but just enough. In front of them, there is a wide staircase going up. The wooden steps look old and weak. Up or stay here? Tom asks. Lisa is already walking towards the stairs. The second floor. The stairs make a terrible noise with every step, but they hold. Upstairs, there is a long corridor with several doors on each side. Most of them are closed. One is open. They walk towards the open door. Inside is a large room with tall windows. Most of the glass is broken, so the cold air moves freely through the room. But despite the cold, despite the dust, despite the years, the room is remarkable. Every wall is covered in paintings. Not old, damaged paintings, well-preserved ones, dozens of them. Different sizes, different colors, but all showing the same city, the same streets, the same park, the same cafe. Oh my God, Lisa whispers. Tom can't speak. He walks slowly around the room, looking at each painting carefully. The style is exactly the same as the painting in the museum. Warm colors, careful lines, real people doing ordinary things, eating, walking, talking, laughing. This is his studio, Tom says finally. This is where he worked. The artist with the letter T, Lisa says. They stand together in the middle of the room, surrounded by hundreds of moments from the past. The desk. In the corner of the room, half hidden under a torn cloth, there is an old wooden desk. Tom walks over and carefully lifts the cloth. On the desk, there is a small leather notebook. He looks at Lisa, she nods. He picks it up gently and opens it. The pages are yellow and fragile, but the writing is still clear, small, neat letters in dark ink. He reads the first page out loud. My name is Thomas. I was born in this city. I have lived here all my life and I plan to die here. I paint what I see, the streets, the people, the light. I do not paint for money or for fame. I paint because I cannot stop. This city is my home and these paintings are my letters to the future. If someone finds them one day, hello. I hope you love this city as much as I do. Neither of them speaks for a long time. Outside, the wind moves through the broken windows and the old papers on the desk lift gently, like someone turning a page. He knew someone would find them, Lisa says quietly. He hoped someone would, Tom says. He looks down at the notebook again. Below the first paragraph, there is a small drawing, just a few lines of a young man sitting alone in a cafe, looking out of a window at the park. Tom is quiet for a moment. Lisa, he says slowly, look at this drawing. She comes closer and looks. The young man in the drawing is wearing a jacket. He has short hair. He is holding a cup of coffee. He looks exactly like Tom. Leaving. They leave the building as the sun begins to go down behind the buildings in the west. The street is quiet and empty. The city sounds, cars, music, voices feel far away. They walk slowly towards the bus stop, both thinking hard. So, Lisa says finally, what do we do now? Tom thinks for a moment. We can't just leave it there. Those paintings are important. The museum needs to know about this place. Agreed, but what about the notebook? Tom looks down at the notebook in his hands. He still hasn't put it down. I want to read it first, he says. All of it, I feel like I owe him that. Lisa nods slowly. Okay, but Tom, one more thing. What? She looks at him seriously. How did he know what you look like? Tom opens his mouth to answer, but no words come. Some questions don't have easy answers. Not yet, anyway. Notebook Chapter 9, The Notebook. That night, Tom sits on his bed with the notebook open in his lap. His bedroom is warm and quiet, completely opposite to the cold, broken building where he found it just a few hours ago. He reads slowly and carefully, turning each fragile page as if it might disappear if he moves too quickly. The first entries. The early pages are simple, short observations about daily life in the city. Thomas wrote about the weather, the people he saw on the street, the food he ate, the light at different times of day. The morning light in this city is unlike anything I have ever seen anywhere else. It falls across the old buildings like warm water, slow, golden, almost alive. Saw a young woman reading outside the cafe today. She was so completely lost in her book that she didn't notice it had started to rain. I painted her from memory this evening. Tom smiles. He recognizes the painting. It hangs on the wall of the studio, third from the left. Something shifts. About halfway through the notebook, the tone changes. The entries become longer, more personal, and slightly troubled. I have been having the strangest dreams. I see two young people, a man and a woman, sitting in a cafe I don't recognize. And yet somehow I do recognize it. The building doesn't exist yet, I think, but the street does. They are laughing about something. They look completely comfortable with each other, the way old friends do, or people who are just beginning to realize they might be something more. Tom stops reading. He reads that last sentence again. People who are just beginning to realize they might be something more. He puts the notebook down on the bed and stares at the ceiling for a long moment. That's ridiculous, he thinks. It's just a coincidence. But he picks the notebook back up and keeps reading. I painted them today, the two figures from my dream. I don't know their names, of course, so I simply painted what I saw. The young man has short hair and wears a simple jacket. He is holding a coffee cup and looking out of the window with the expression of someone who is thinking about something far more important than coffee. The young woman is watching him. She is smarter than he realizes, I think, and far more patient. Tom laughs quietly despite himself. Smarter than he realizes, patient. That was definitely Lisa. The middle pages. As Tom reads further, he begins to understand Thomas better, not just as an artist, but as a person. Thomas had grown up poor in the east of the city. He had never studied art formally. He had simply taught himself, practicing every day for years until his hands knew exactly what his eyes saw. He had few friends but observed everyone. He believed that ordinary moments, a family eating dinner, a child running across a park, two friends sharing a joke over coffee, were far more interesting and far more true than any grand or dramatic scene. People always want to paint kings and battles and beautiful landscapes, but I think the real history of a place is written in its small moments. In the way a father looks at his daughter across the breakfast table. In the way a city smells after rain. These are the things worth remembering. Tom reads this twice. Then he takes out his own phone and photographs the page. The last entry. The final pages of the notebook are harder to read, not because the handwriting changes, but because the mood does. Thomas was old by then, and he knew it. I am not afraid of dying. I am only afraid that nobody will find these paintings. That all these small moments, all these people, all this light, all this ordinary and extraordinary life will simply disappear into the dark of that building and be forgotten forever. So I am writing this now, on the last pages of my last notebook, to whoever finds it, whenever you find it, wherever you are in time. This city was alive. These people were real. They laughed and argued and fell in love and made terrible decisions and had wonderful mornings and difficult evenings. Just like you, don't let them be forgotten. Paint your own moments, write them down, take photographs, tell people you love them before it gets too late. And if you ever sit in a cafe near the park and look out of the window, wave. I might be watching. Ati. Tom closes the notebook. Outside his window, the city is still alive. Distant voices, passing cars, the faint sound of music from somewhere nearby. The same sounds, more or less, that Thomas must have heard from his studio window 200 years ago. Tom picks up his phone and calls Lisa. She answers immediately. Did you read it? She asks, as if she already knows the answer. All of it, Tom says. His voice is quieter than usual. A short silence. And, Lisa asks gently. Tom thinks about how to answer. About the painting, about the studio, about the strange feeling he has carried with him since Saturday, like something important is just on the edge of becoming clear. I think, he says slowly, that we need to make sure people see these paintings. All of them, not just the one in the museum. Agreed, Lisa says. So the museum director. First thing tomorrow. Good, a pause, Tom. Yeah. That last entry, her voice is careful, thoughtful, the part about sitting in the cafe near the park. What about it? That's our cafe, she says quietly. That's exactly our cafe. Tom looks out of his bedroom window at the dark street below. I know, he says. Another silence, but a comfortable one. The kind that only exists between people who understand each other without needing to explain everything. Good night, Tom, Lisa says finally. Good night. He ends the call and sits still for a moment, the notebook in his lap, the city humming quietly outside. Then he opens his desk drawer, takes out a blank notebook, one he bought months ago but never used, and writes 3 words on the first page. My own moments. Glowing Star final chapter, the exhibition. 3 weeks had passed since Tom and Lisa walked into that abandoned building on the eastern edge of the city. In that time, everything had moved surprisingly fast. Tom had contacted the museum the very next morning. The director, a sharp, energetic woman named Dr. Marsh, had listened carefully, asked several precise questions, and then gone completely silent for a moment that felt much longer than it actually was. "Show me," she had said finally. They showed her. The response. Dr. Marsh had stood in the middle of Thomas's studio for a long time without speaking. She had walked slowly around the room, studying each painting with the focused, unhurried attention of someone who understood exactly what they were looking at and understood exactly how rare it was. "Do you have any idea what you found?" she had asked quietly, almost to herself. "Something worth remembering," Tom had said. She had turned and looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Then she had nodded once, firmly, as if settling something in her own mind. "We'll need to move carefully," she had said. "These paintings are fragile. The restoration process will take time, but I promise you the city will see these." Within a week, a team of conservators had arrived at the building. Within 2, the paintings were being carefully transported to the museum. Local newspapers had picked up the story. A journalist from the city's oldest magazine had called Tom for an interview, which he had agreed to nervously and delivered, according to Lisa, surprisingly well, considering. The exhibition was scheduled for the last Saturday of the month. The night before. The evening before the opening, Tom sat alone in their cafe, the one near the park, the one that appeared in Thomas's paintings, the one that had somehow existed across 2 centuries without either of them noticing. He had the notebook with him. He always had it with him now. He ordered a coffee, opened the notebook to the last page, and read Thomas's final words one more time, not because he had forgotten them, but because some things are worth reading more than once. "Wave, I might be watching." Tom looked up at the window. Outside, the park was quiet in the early evening light. A few people walked along the path. A child was running ahead of her father, turning back every few steps to make sure he was still there. An old man sat on a bench, reading a newspaper, completely unbothered by the world moving around him. Ordinary moments, all of them. Tom took out his own notebook, the blank one he had written 3 words in 3 weeks ago, and realized with a small shock that it was no longer blank. He had been filling it without fully noticing. Observations, sketches in words, small moments he had captured during the past weeks. Lisa laughing at something on her phone on the bus, trying to hide it and failing completely. My father falling asleep in his chair after dinner, still holding the remote control. The way the city looks from the train window early in the morning, before most people are awake, like it belongs only to itself. He closed the notebook and smiled. The exhibition. The museum was fuller than Tom had ever seen it. People of all ages moved slowly through the newly arranged rooms, stopping in front of each painting with the kind of quiet attention that is rarely seen in busy places. There was something about Thomas's work that made people slow down, as if the paintings themselves were asking for a different kind of looking. Dr. Marsh had organized everything beautifully. The paintings were arranged not by size or color, but by subject: mornings in one room, evenings in another. Street scenes, family moments, the cafe, the park, the river. A whole city, rendered in light and color and extraordinary care, by a man who had simply refused to let ordinary life go unnoticed. In the final room, the largest one, hung the painting from which everything had begun. The cafe. The 2 figures sitting opposite each other, the park visible through the window behind them. Beside it, mounted carefully on the wall, was a single page from the notebook, Thomas's last entry, printed in large, clear letters so that everyone could read it. Tom stood in front of it for a long time. "You're blocking the view," Lisa said, appearing beside him with 2 cups of coffee from the small stand the museum had set up near the entrance. "Sorry," he stepped aside. She handed him a cup and they stood together, reading the words they had both already memorized. "Don't let them be forgot. Paint your own moments." Around them, the room filled slowly with people, young and old, alone and together, some speaking quietly and some simply standing in silence. all of them looking at a city they recognized, painted by hands that had turned to dust 2 centuries ago, feeling something that was difficult to name but impossible to ignore. The particular feeling of being connected to something larger than yourself, of realizing that the people who came before you were not so different, of understanding, perhaps for the first time, that ordinary life, your ordinary life, is worth paying attention to. After, they stayed until the museum closed. Walking home through the city afterwards, neither of them felt the need to talk very much. The streets were familiar and alive around them, lights in windows, voices from restaurants, the distant sound of music from somewhere neither of them could quite identify. At the corner where their paths divided, they stopped. "So," Lisa said, "what now?" Tom thought about it seriously, the way Thomas had taught him to think about things, slowly, honestly, without rushing towards easy answers. "I think," he said finally, "we keep going, keep noticing things, keep writing them down." Lisa considered this. That's quite a philosophy for a student who was nearly failing history 3 weeks ago. "I wasn't nearly failing, Tom. I was comfortably failing." She laughed, the real kind, unguarded and bright, and the sound of it rose briefly above the city noise before the night absorbed it. "Good night, Tom," she said, turning to leave. "Lisa." She turned back. He hesitated for just a moment, the kind of moment that contains a great deal more than its actual length suggests. Thomas wrote that the 2 figures in his dream looked like people who were just beginning to realize they might be something more, Tom said carefully. Lisa looked at him. Her expression was the one he had come to recognize over the past weeks, the one that meant she had already thought about this, had been waiting patiently to see how long it would take him to catch up. "I know," she said simply. A short silence. "Coffee tomorrow?" Tom asked. "The cafe near the park." "Obviously." She smiled, and it was the kind of smile that, had Thomas been watching from somewhere across the centuries, he would absolutely have painted. "Obviously," she said. She walked away down the street. Tom watched her go, then turned and walked in the opposite direction, his notebook in his jacket pocket, the city alive and unhurried around him. Somewhere behind him, the museum lights were still on. All those paintings, finally seen. All those ordinary moments, finally remembered. Tom put his hand briefly to the notebook in his pocket, a small, instinctive gesture, like checking that something important is still there. It was. He walked home through the lit streets of the city, thinking about tomorrow. Performing art's the end. This city was alive, these people were real, don't let them be forgotten. T.